Yo, what is going on, guys? I'm Morris here, bringing guys a brand new Busch Gardens video, and it has been a while since I've made a sit-down Busch Gardens video, but we're just making so much different content over the past couple weeks, and I had so much fun shooting the Busch Gardens roller coaster roundtable a couple weeks ago. It was a fun idea I had about a month or so ago, and I was like, that's a funny idea. And then I was like, what if I actually made that? And I kind of tricked y'all out a little bit. I didn't tell you it was a skit going in because I wanted you to go in not knowing exactly what you were doing, probably expecting a video like this. But we're going to kind of stay on a similar train today. We're going to talk about the coasters. But right here on this little note card, I have all 9 coasters at Busch Gardens ranked, and we're going to go through my ranking because a lot of people rank Busch Gardens coasters who are just general theme park people. And as a diehard Busch Gardens fan, I feel it is finally my time to throw my hat in the race and give you the definitive roller coaster ranking of Busch Gardens. And we might do this every year because rides age and new rides are added. So we have to keep updating the list. I'm going to start this trend every year before the main season starts, and the main season is about to kick off. We have made it. But right now is St. Patrick's Day. I'll be going there this weekend, so I'm super excited to do that. And this is the correct list. No other list is as correct as my list. And if any of you out there are like, aren't there 10 technically any coasters? Unsubscribe. Don't really. No, there's not 10. There's only 9. We do not speak of what some people refer to as the 10th. So we're going to work our way going from 9 up to 1. So coming in at number 9 is the GCI Invader. It is a fun coaster. There was a big criticism on Busch Gardens that they needed more family-style coasters. And so they built Invader. Invader's fine. It's fun. When I went with my friends back in 2022, they loved Invader. And they were like, you, like, talk so much bad on it. I'm like, okay, let me do this. I don't talk bad on it. Just in comparison to the others, in my opinion, it's not as good. It's fun. The little turns where it whips you around, that's really fun. But it's kind of short in height and in length, and the wait's usually a long time for it. That's the thing about the coaster. It's fine. It's good. I mean, it's a good ride. I enjoy riding it. Every time I ride it, I'm like, I'm glad I waited in line. But it is such a long wait because they only have 2 trains, and sometimes it's slow, and on a hot day, and you're just standing right there in the heat, it's can get unbearable unless you're right there at the turnaround at where the scoot goes over. Then it's nice because you're getting the water dripped on you. But if you're not there, it's a long line, and it just seems like it keeps going and going, and it turns around. It feels faster than it is. I'll give it that. It feels much faster, and it feels more intense, especially for a family coaster. Coming in at number 8 is Tempesto, the clone. Yes, it's the only clone coaster in the park. There's a bunch of them all around the world, and I enjoyed Tempesto, but you know, it's a long line because you can only run 1 train. It's fun, but it's short. You know, you wait a long line for what is like, I think I've timed it to be like 45 seconds, somewhere between 45 and 50 seconds. It's a lot of waiting time for coaster elements you pretty much get on every other ride in the park. The only thing that you don't get is that slow roll at the top. That's exclusive to Tempesto, which is my favorite part about it. And I do love just screaming that you go in and out through the station. It's a fun coaster, but it's nothing like too special to it. Pretty where it is, I think it fits great where it is. I almost consider more of a thrill ride than a roller coaster just because of its length and how it's positioned. But it's a fun coaster, and it's only ranked above Invader just off of straight intensity. Coming at number 7, Dark Coaster. Look, I love Dark Coaster. You guys love Dark Coaster, but let's be honest, when you're ranking all the coasters, I mean, it's fine. It's one step away from being a kiddie coaster, except for some of the elements inside. I mean, it only goes about 25 miles per hour, which is not a bad thing. It feels plenty fast when you're in the station, and I remind people, they're like, that's so slow. Space Mountain at Disney World is one of the most world-famous coasters. People love it. That thing only goes about 25 miles an hour, too. If you're doing 25 miles an hour in daylight, that's a problem. 25 miles per hour inside with the elements, you can get away with it, and I think it works well for Dark Coaster. Dark Coaster just lacks a little bit of theming, and that coaster needs to rely on its theming with the lights and the effects, and it seems a little Walmart-y. You know, some of the effects don't move, some of the lighting looks cheap, the painting some look a little cheap, and those are supposed to be the elements of the coaster. But I will say the theming around the coaster is awesome. The station is awesome, and the fact that we have a ride in that building is awesome. I felt a little bad putting it all the way down to 7, but it is what it is. We love Dark Coaster. We're so glad that we have Dark Coaster. Coming in at number 6, Loch Ness Monster. Now, obviously, this is saying it without the legend lives on. But I don't think the legend lives on aspect is going to change its ranking, so that's why I'm fine putting it where it is. It's a great coaster. It's the world's only operating interlocking loop coaster. When I ride it, it feels like you're riding a piece of history, especially for theme parks and roller coasters. This is something that people cherish, the ability to ride. I do too, and I'm so glad we get to keep it around. But it is a little old, and it's still going to feel a little old even with the new stuff, but I'm so glad that they've refurbished it. And the cave is really cool, and I'm excited for the new effects in the cave. So that's why let's put a little asterisk. Let's put a little asterisk beside the 6 rating, because it could go up, but I think it's going to stay. I'm excited for the lift hill, because the lift hill is so long. So I'm excited for the music. And the drop is fun. It just kind of whips you around a little bit. Sometimes my neck will hurt after riding it. And the coasters, but the loops are superb. The loops should be number 1. Coming in at number 5, Verbolten. And you're like, Will, you talk so much about Verbolten, but you're going to rank it at number 5. I am ranking Verbolten on when it's running at peak level. What I remember that being is what I'm ranking Verbolten off of, because I know it can be that. And what Verbolten can be is an awesome coaster. When I took my friends back in 2022, they really loved Verbolten. It was kind of their favorite. It's like a little story when you're in there when all the lights are working. The sounds, the visuals, and when it's like it's supposed to be, pitch black darkness, you get the flashing lights, you get the little forest down to your left, you get the eyes that follow you, the storm, the spirit, all these cool elements, and then the drop track and hearing people's reactions when they don't know that's coming, the broken bridge with the Big Bad Wolf drop, and the launch outside of the building. I love that. That has been one of my favorite roller coaster moments ever, and it still is to this day. Is one of the reasons I still just love Verbolten is that second launch. I love this coaster. I really do. Like I said, it holds a special place in my heart because it's kind of the coaster that really made me fall in love with coasters. I know what it can run at. That's why I'm giving it a higher ranking than what it would be if we based off how it runs right now, because I know it can be better. I believe it will be better. So I'm giving it its honest ranking of how I feel Verbolten is. I think the whole theming going into it is amazing. The cars are awesome. The trains, I think they're my favorite trains of every coaster because they look like a car, and sometimes they have little sounds, and at night sometimes the headlights are working. It's just the small details on this ride is what is so awesome, especially when everything is working and it's just all interconnected to create this whole sensory experience. That's why I love Verbolten. Now we're at 4, and before I go into 4 and 3 are interchangeable. I had the toughest time deciding between 4 and 3 because I could go literally either way regarding these two. But at number 4, I have Apollo's Chariot. To me, it's the ride that when I ride it, I'm like, all right, the Busch Gardens Day has started, because that's the way I go. I go to Festa Italia first. I love it. It's such a classic. You feel like you're riding just a peak coaster because that first drop, the G-forces, and I loved the part where you zero out, going in a circle around at the end. I love the way that you know it's there, but somehow it still manages to hide itself back in the woods. The way they built the coaster on the terrain is absolutely fantastic. I love the design on the trains. It's so smooth and never ceases to fail to be amazing when you ride it. And people say it's aged. Look, I've ridden it for years. Like, maybe it's not what it was 10 years ago, but it's still awesome. Now that they run it in the cold weather, to me it just feels like it flies in the cold weather. And I know it flies in the warm weather too. I just love the way this coaster feels. You just like scream your head off and just going up and down on the hills and the little turns where you come very close to the standings. I love this coaster. I can't say enough good things about this coaster. But that being said, number 3 is Griffin. And that's what I'm saying. These two are so interchangeable because they're very similar to me, where they feel like these grandiose coasters because they're the coasters that you see coming into the park. When it comes to Griffin, it's just that drop and that big loop. I love it. And, you hear people's reactions. I love screaming, "Here we go!" If you ever hear someone do that in the front row, probably me. But I love just looking around at the park as you hang right there and just feeling like you're secure, but you just feel like this feeling of, that's the ground right there, and it's a far way down. It's just something about that that's just so much fun to me. I love the water break. I think it's just an awesome element, and the station is cool. And I'm so glad that they made this one floorless, unlike SheiKra, because the floorless part just makes it peak. The ride really, to me, gets such a high rating off that first drop into the loop. And everyone else loves it. Like, the line is always so long. And the nice thing, too, is the line keeps moving because they can put on 30 people per ride. And usually they're running like 2 or 3 at least. Griffin gets a high ranking at number 3. Number 2! 2, Pantheon. Pantheon is at number 2, the world-class coaster, the coaster we waited so long for. It is an exhilarating ride. I mean, it has every element you could possibly almost imagine. You go upside down, you stall, you go backwards, you go up a spike, you go up a humongous top hat, you go sideways. There's really nothing to complain about on this ride. I don't have any complaints. You know, they're able to run multiple tracks. The wait can be long, but, you know, it's not too bad. Usually they keep it moving pretty well. The seats are so comfy. While you're down, secured in a seat, you do feel a little loose, but in a good way. You feel like you still have that weightlessness when you're going around on the ride. I love that little loop it takes you as soon as you bank out of the station. That little cobra roll is peak. I always say when you go to Top Hat or you look up at the spike, always, man, I can see Virginia from here, or man, I can see Busch Gardens from here. I say stupid stuff just to see what people are listening and see what they react. But that ride is just so exhilarating. It's so much fun. And it's a good length too. It's not too short. Like it goes on for a good little bit, which for a ride that can only do 2 trains, I think it's really good that it does have a bit of a longevity feel to it. Was it worth the wait? Absolutely. I love this ride. I wish that it wasn't so temperamental with the wind, because sometimes I just find it that I'll go there and it's a little bit of a windy day and it's shut down. And that's just kind of a bummer, which is part of the reason why it's number 2 and not number 1, because it does have a lot of downtime. But that's just kind of like an intimate thing anyway, just like Dark Coaster. Another reason why Dark Coaster was so low is because of a lot of its downtime. But Pantheon is just a beautiful coaster. I love the trains. I wish the theming was a little bit more on it, but the theming does not really affect the rating. That's just another separate thing. But I love Pantheon. You guys love Pantheon. And it's number 2. And it wasn't an easy number 2. My number 1, it holds a special spot in my heart. I love number 1. It's just, there's no other coaster like it in the park. There's no other coaster that gives it the feeling that this ride gives me. And that is Alpengeist. There's just nothing like it. I've ridden other inverted coasters. None of them feel as smooth to me as this one. And people are like, Alpengeist? Smooth? If you ride in the front, yes, it's pretty smooth. Now in the back, it can be a little jerky, but I don't ride in the back. I love this ride. The moment where the floor lowers down to the ground under your feet after you load on, and you just hear the lift hill chain start going, I just get so hyped. Just the feeling of being able to swing my feet back and forth while going, do all these cobra rolls, and that really cool like cobra inversion. I love this ride so much. I love looking down at the people as you go by the log flume and that little seating area. Now, does it drag a little bit at the end? It does, because it kind of just stays pretty flat as it returns to the station. But one thing this ride has is longevity. It feels like you're on a long ride. The ride takes a while, so if you're waiting a while to get on it, you're going to be on this ride for a hot minute. And it's just comfy. The seats are comfortable. I love just that feeling of being free on a ride and being able to just swing my feet and feel like I'm just flying. I think that's a cool thing too, is the coaster truly feels like you're flying. And the views you get from the top of the lift hill going down, because there's nothing beneath you, it's all above you, your field of vision is just so awesome. Just the stuff you see out of your peripheral is amazing. And the theming on it is really cool when you pass through the snow, where you don't even see that walking in other parts of the park. You only see these things if you ride the ride, which is awesome. I love the way it's tucked into the back. It just feels so cool when you walk back there and you see all the theming and the little board of all the people that have gone missing. I just love that whole experience about the ride. It's just something about it. Alpengeist is the one ride I plan to ride no matter how long the line is. I will ride Alpengeist because I love the heck out of that ride. And that's why it is my number 1 coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So I hope you guys enjoyed my list of ranking the Busch Gardens Williamsburg roller coasters. Let me know what your guys' rankings are down below in the comments. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed. Make sure to hit that bell button down below so you're notified every single time I upload a brand new video to the channel. Make sure to go stream my song, Dear Miss Heartbreak, wherever you listen to your music. My name is Will Morris, and I'm out. Peace. Dear Miss Heartbreak, when you gonna send another one?